Oh boy, it seems like my fears about Mortal Kombat 11 have come to pass, and there's a lot to digest with everything that's going around surrounding the game. It seems like a lot of negative backlash, and rightfully so. I was really worried about Mortal Kombat 11 going into its release, and I was kind of vocalizing it, but almost not, just because I knew that there was such a hardcore audience for the Mortal Kombat game. Some of my friends are die-hard Mortal Kombat games, and when I got into discussions with them, anything negative I would say about Mortal Kombat 11 was immediately met with this backlash. How could I talk badly about Mortal Kombat? It's one of the most iconic fighting game franchises of all time, and I'm like, man, I really want to talk about some of my grievances with this game, but it just seems like Mortal Kombat is one of these untouchable franchises, and I thought that for a little bit, especially with the insurmountable amount of anticipation Mortal Kombat 11 had going into its release, and even then, knowing that Mortal Kombat had this ardent fan base surrounding it, I was still pretty vocal in videos talking about my displeasures with not only Mortal Kombat 11, but the general direction with fighting games going forward, and I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. But as you guys are probably aware, with Mortal Kombat 11, there's a lot to digest, but mainly, a lot of the negative criticism with the critic reviews are coming because of the harder towers that are literally impossible without rarer or better gear, and you've got single-use consumables in the game, and it's incredibly grindy to acquire these items, and of course, if you want to circumvent all of that, they do have the option for microtransactions in the game. Now, this is inherently a big issue, something that's become more and more pronounced in gaming, and I often have talked about a game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it seems like some of you guys disagree with me on the specifics of Odyssey in particular, and that's fine, but I found Odyssey to be a little bit too much of a grind. I am someone that likes to bum rush through Assassin's Creed games, and obviously with a game like AC Odyssey, you really can't do that even on the easiest difficulty. It would be one thing if the harder difficulties would have required you to do more of the content in Odyssey, and then the easy mode would still let you bum rush through the game, but the easy mode didn't even let you, but that game had a double XP boost, and that's something I wasn't too big of a fan of, especially a game that is inherently reliant on its single player experience. It has no multiplayer. To shoehorn in microtransactions with that game, and you can tell me you don't even have to look at them, but guess what? That double XP boost is there, and I know people in particular use that, and this is something that's just becoming more and more commonplace. However, transitioning that into a fighting game, man, that is pretty crazy, and with Mortal Kombat 11, it extends beyond the microtransactions, and we'll get to that in a little bit as well. There's just so much to digest. But there was a post over on Reddit noting that completing the entire story of Mortal Kombat 11 will barely give you enough currency to clear one room in Crypt. From this, the user noted that he or she got one brutality, some common skins, and a few consumables. You can't do as much as clear a single hard tower with all the stuff that they got. Clearing some of the latter towers without at least rare gear and a large number of single-use consumables is near impossible. These towers are not just a pure test of fighting skills, they also feature unlockable blood missiles which drain your life and gives it to the enemy acid rain, enemy getting armor on low health, and some absolutely ridiculous damage modifiers. Earning said consumables and rare gear is extremely grindy, requiring you to complete event-specific and daily towers as well as clearing multiple easier towers. The crypt chests get positively more expensive, and the drop rate for rare or better items is very low. For context, they opened a total of 23 chests in the crypt and got only 2 rare gear across different characters. Man, oh man, and in a fighting game to shoehorn in that grindy element, it's one thing for that to be pronounced in an RPG, just because RPGs inherently have that element of grind to them. At least some RPGs do, especially MMORPGs. So I think that's a little bit more suited to the playstyle. However, for a fighting game, in what era has a fighting game ever had grindy elements thrown into it where you had to grind over and over again? I mean, maybe some games had like currency here and there to unlock characters, but just thinking about it from a logical standpoint, there shouldn't be a grind element attached to a fighting game, especially when there's so much of a direct impact to gameplay, and that is a huge issue. Now, some of you guys are immediately going to criticize me even creating this video and be like, hey, Ed Boon put out a tweet and everything is going to be remedied. So let's take a look at the tweet that Ed Boon put out, and I put none of this towards him. I actually put this towards Warner Brothers. They are the publisher, and I'm sure they want to monetize the game as long as possible and get the most money out of Mortal Kombat 11 as possible. I'm sure it wasn't Ed Boon's decision to be like, yo, we need these microtransactions in the game, but nonetheless, this is the tweet that he put out. MK11 PSA, in case you missed yesterday's Kombat cast, we have a hotfix and improvements coming to address those super hard towers of time, as well as better rewards, economy to be used in the crypt. Hoping, expecting it'll be more like hours than days. We'll keep you posted. Okay, so that is fine and dandy and all, and I see so many people taking this to the bank and being like, all is good, everything is okay, but I offer you this. why in the first place was this needed to be a fix? This is something that when you are playing the game, when you are testing the game, it should be inherently obvious. Hey, maybe this game is a little bit too grindy, and you can see because this is a fix that can be implemented so quickly. Am I a little bit too much of a conspiracy theorist in thinking that somebody was involved in saying, hey, let's see how far we can push the envelope, let's make the game inherently grindy from the get-go and see if we can get away with it, see if Warner Brothers can make a lot of money, and then backtrack if worst case scenario. And at the end of the day, if you think about it from a logical standpoint, from Warner Brothers and NetherRealms, it is a win-win scenario, because let me offer you this. Let's say everybody was okay with the grindy elements and they just went the route of microtransactions and Warner Brothers ended up making a ton of money. Well, that's a win because now they're making a bunch of extra revenue on Mortal Kombat 11. Hey, that's big for them, more money on that end. And in this scenario where there was this sizable backlash to the game, now Ed Boon put out this tweet, and Ed Boon is somebody that is super respected, so him to go out and put out this tweet, you know people are gonna flock to that and take to that very positively. And now it's like, hey, look at what NetherRealms and Warner Brothers are doing. They are so much thinking about the consumer. But what if in actuality, and I saw this posted on the Reddit thread, and I agreed with it so much, so let's make a grindy scale from 1 to 100, and let's actually say that 100 is kind of that break limit. That's how grindy a fighting game like this could be. Well, Mortal Kombat 11, you could say, released at 0.300, so way past that limit, and now they're dialing it back to say 100 or 150 in that scale, and we're just breaking the scale at this point because this shouldn't really fly in a fighting game. But nonetheless, now that you're scaling it back from 0.300 because we saw the obscene grindiness that was in the game, and now you're dialing it back to 150, even if it's a little bit grindy, still we'll think, hey, it's so much better than it was at launch, and then NetherRealms and Warner Brothers are still making out like bandits. You have to read between the lines here because I think everybody is taking everything in face value and you're getting duped a little bit. Let's see how far back they take it. But man, some of the horror stories that I'm reading about how grindy this game is, and again, a fighting game, it's just an incredible head scratcher, and from all accounts, the fundamentals of this game are on point. So you know that NetherRealms did an incredible job with the game for the elements of the game that they were responsible for in creating a compelling fighting game. Those elements seem to be absolutely there, but then you have all of these elements that are extending the monetization of the game, and this is going back outside of the microtransactions, which I've already been very vocal about. But heading into the release of Mortal Kombat 11, man oh man, it is just becoming more commonplace that fighting games are gonna nickel and dime the hell out of players. Every fighting game is gonna see multiple season passes. We got so many extra DLC. I point to you games like Dragon Ball FighterZ. These are fundamentally good games, no questions asked. However, these games are being monetized to hell and back. Dragon Ball FighterZ got a season pass. Now it's getting a second season pass with more characters being added. Mortal Kombat 11, before its release, we already knew about a $40 season pass, and here's the kicker with Mortal Kombat 11. It had a pre-order character, and that pre-order character is not a part of the season pass. So let's say you bought Mortal Kombat 11 a week after the game release and you no longer get that pre-order character, and maybe even buy the season pass. Well, guess what? That's not even the entire game at this point. You would have to buy the season pass after buying Mortal Kombat 11, the base game, for $60, and then you would have to buy the pre-order character of Shao Kahn for another $6. And not only that, all indications show that this game is probably going to have a second season pass. Now, that's not confirmed, but the indicators are definitely pointing to that direction, and that means not only do you have a $60 base game, you have a $40 season pass, you have a pre-order bonus that is being valued at $6, which is outside of the season pass, and then we could possibly have another season pass after that, and that's all on top of these incessant microtransactions. Man oh man, like, Mortal Kombat 11 can be as good of a game fundamentally, whatever the case may be. It could be a great fighting game, but at some point this needs to stop, because the more and more this becomes commonplace in gaming, the worse and worse it's gonna get. I understand these games are incredibly expensive to develop for, but this is just getting outrageous. At one point, games are $60, and that was it. It looks like developers and publishers are too scared to push that envelope and raise the price to $70 right out the gate, but they're being clever about it with microtransactions, with DLC planned well ahead of the launch of the game, and there's just gotta be a limit to it. I can see a season pass being in there. I understand why these businesses want to do it, because at the end of the day, gaming is a business. They're trying to turn a profit, but in this case, it just seems like too much. You've got a $60 game, you've got a pre-order bonus that's valued at $6, you've got a $40 season pass, you've got microtransactions, questions for days, and then we might just get a second season pass after that, after laying everything out on the table. I don't care how big of a fan of Mortal Kombat you are. If this continues to get worse and worse, it's just gonna be bad for fighting games altogether. It's gonna be bad for gaming altogether. And I see so many people getting duped because yes, they're offering you this quick fix, but I wonder, how did none of the developers, how did the publisher not notice that, hey, this game might be a little bit grindy, maybe we should dial it back a little bit before the game actually launches? But no, to me it seems like they had this plan in place that whichever route they go, either they make a ton of money or they come out looking like the good guys. And that's just my speculation on the whole situation. It's just an unfortunate state of affairs. I get that a lot of other games are doing it, and I get that Mortal Kombat 11 is a great game, but at some point enough has to be enough. So that's gonna conclude this video. I rambled quite a bit. I definitely want to hear from you guys because it seems like a lot of people are taking notice of this. So sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.